So I have to start off with the basics, with the who, what, and why. So we are going to start off with the word subsidence. It literally means that the ground is sinking. Groundwater has historically been the primary source of water for the Houston area. As we've seen, as the population in Houston increased, and it's going to continue to do, so do our water demands. And with that was the amount and continual amount of groundwater that is pumped from the ground. It was not regulated until 1975. By that time, as you can see on that to the left here with the dark red to the pink and the outskirts of Houston, by 75, some areas in Houston had already sunk more than 10 feet. In just a minute, we're going to talk about the mechanism of subsidence and how that actually looks. But ultimately, I can sit here and tell you we're here because of subsidence. And then people will say, okay, but I don't care. You're still just charging me money. But so I want to tell you why we should care, right? It causes a lot of issues, including threatening our groundwater supply by reducing our storage capacity permanently, no water underground, lowering the ground surface, which ultimately in our area, we see a really high increase in the likelihood and severity of flooding, and then costly infrastructure damage because of the settling of the land. So I just explained that subsidence means the ground is sinking, but how does it actually work? And one of our engineers here at BGE made this like a year and a half ago, and I just think it's a really cool illustration she made in PowerPoint. Very grateful for that. So on the screen, very simplified cross section of Earth. On the top, we have the ground surface. Under the surface is soil. At points underground, there is saturated soil, also known as groundwater. The point soil becomes saturated is known as the groundwater level. That white rectangle, it represents a groundwater well, which pumps underground water to the surface. Groundwater is simply water that fills the open spaces in an underground soil. If we zoom into the groundwater zone, you'll see intermixed soil particles. In Houston, the saturated zones are primarily silts and clays, which are the smallest soil particles, and one of the primary reasons that subsidence is such a problem in our area. The space between the soil particles, known as the pore space, that's all filled with water. And a way to think about it is like how water fills a sponge. So, wait, did I go too fast on our slides? Let's see. Sorry. Okay, moving on. So if we take a look at water system with groundwater, we're pumping water out of the ground to serve our community. When I say the amount of water we're taking out is less than or equal to the amount of water going in, things remain stable. When I say water going in, I'm referring to recharge. This is when water percolates into the soil and then moves down the soil to the groundwater zone through things like precipitation. But what we're going to see now is what happens when groundwater usage is not stable. Let's say our water needs increase, which can happen through additional development, as well as increasing the amount of water each person is used during a dry period. The groundwater level will lower. When water is removed from the pore space, the soil particles will physically compact together. This leads to permanent loss of water storage capacity in our groundwater supplies. Even if the water level rises again, we have permanently altered the amount of water that will be stored in the ground. In addition to threatening, I went too fast. In addition to threatening our future groundwater supply, this in turn leads to subsidence, or the lowering of the land. So that was our little illustration, and thank you again, Julia, for making that. So the quest to combat subsidence, because all that was figured out in the lowering of the land, and then our Brownwood example happened. And so the quest to combat subsidence began in 1975. Working with surface water suppliers, the subsidence districts, ultimately, they control subsidence by managing the use of groundwater resources in our area. The North Fort Bend Water Authority was created in 2005. And want to throw this out there. The Texas legislature determined our boundaries. So that was determined by our legislature, and requests to be excluded from the boundaries were accepted. They had to be submitted, though, no later than the 120th day after the effective date of the act, just to get y'all ready for legislative language coming up in January. So here is a picture of the areas for the subsidence districts. We are in Area A of the Fort Bend Subsidence District. We had the submission of our groundwater reduction plan that was submitted in 2008, and we were required to have a 30% reduction by 2014, which was timely met, and our 60% reduction is due by 2027. This is who we are and why we're here. Our mission statement is to provide a plentiful supply of clean water from multiple sources for our families and for the future, to conserve our groundwater and surface water supplies to provide for tomorrow's water needs, and to educate people on the value of water, where our water comes from, and the importance of protecting this vital resource. There's no better way than through video and animation to explain sort of because there's so many infrastructure projects and it's so massive. We made a video and hopefully you've seen it. It's called The Path of Water. I'm gonna share it now, and I hope you have your popcorn and you're ready to watch and you enjoy. It's on our homepage as well. So let me bring it over to this screen. Yay! Okay. Again, that is on our homepage. If we encourage you to share it everywhere you can. It sort of takes all these massive infrastructure projects into one short video, and shows how big it is, but also simplifies it a little bit for people like me. I'm not an engineer, so it really helped me understand how to talk to people and how this goes. So still sticking on the provide part of our mission, I always hear during our board meetings, I hear a couple of the engineers come in and give updates on where projects are. And I always see some really cool drone footage from our Northeast water purification plant. And so I asked Ian Peets from BGE to come in and to I want to show you all the drone footage, but I asked Ian from our office if he could sort of tell you about this part of that massive project and where we are. And Ian, are you here? Hey, Ian.
I'm here. Hello, everybody.
Thank you. So is it cool if I just play the video and like sort of you tell everyone what it is and
Yep.
what this is all about? Thank you. Okay.
So this is the the Northeast Water Purification Plant expansion going on up in Humble on the northeast side of Houston. This video is a few months old, but it's one of the better ones that we have that allows us for explaining the project. And that this is the intake pump station. There's a bridge that goes out into Lake Houston to where we have 5 pumps out in this building here, this intake pump station building. We put it out into the lake as opposed to taking it from the shore to get better water quality from the lake. And then these pumps will pump that water through those dual pipelines. Those are 108-inch diameter pipelines. And they'll go from there through this corridor that you see here, and then to the north across Lake Houston Parkway, and then into the water treatment plant. And in this corridor, we have the 208-inch water lines, chemical piping, and electrical feed out to the pump station. The treatment plant is basically broken up into 4 different modules, and each of them being able to treat 80 million gallons of water each day. And the existing plant is also capable of 80 MGD. So this plant expansion will provide an additional 320 million gallons a day. You add that to the 80 MGD that's already there, giving us a total of 400 million gallons a day, which should be available. It should be all online next year. If you notice here in this area here, there's 2 basins there that are kind of green, more water. That's the first phase. That is actually online and producing water, and it's going out to the city of Houston and ultimately to all their customers as well. And then this middle section here, that's our the filter areas, and the area to the left, those are the settling basins. Where the raw water comes in initially. It'll go through the settling basins, through those clarifiers, where it gets even more and more of the dirt out of the water, through the filters, and then it goes through ozone, which disinfects the water, and then it pumps it into these ground storage tanks. And right now, 2 of those 4 tanks are online. We've got 2 really big high service pump station buildings, which you see there. And from those buildings, that's what pumps it out into to the distribution system or the transmission system through the big pipelines that ultimately gets to North Fort Bend. And this building here, that's our solids dewatering building. That's where all the solids and dirt and everything that's removed from the water is processed. We take as much water out of it as possible, recycle that water to the headworks of the plant, and then haul the solids off or the dirt off in trucks, and it's used for daily landfill cover. And this is the entrance of the plant. You see a couple of scales for weighing the trucks, chemical trucks, deliveries into and out of the plant. And these photos here was actually April 16th. This was the date that we actually started pumping water from the new plant expansion out into the distribution system. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. And just seeing it like that, I bet people get their steps in pretty quickly working there. That is huge. And Ian's going to stick around and he will, I'm trying to exit out this video. He will stick around and be around afterwards if you have any questions on that particular. So that was our update on the Northeast. And then Tuesday after our board meeting, I was driving on Grand Parkway and remembered the construction that y'all see, all the directors and the authority see almost every day. And then I, of course, see the big sign that says it's a project of the North Fort Bend Water Authority. And I'm reminded that you all see this every day, and you probably get a lot of questions about this. So I asked Mr. Matt Freilich, and I found this article this morning online, just to sort of, I see this is always a hot topic, but what is it, Matt Freilich, who's our program engineer, in case they get asked, so everyone could just be aware of why our name's out there and what we're doing, please, sir.
Sure thing. Hello, everybody. Matt Freilich with BGE. Work with Whitney and Ian and a number of others, serving North Fort Bend and its constituents. But Whitney's right. There's a lot going on along 99. I will tell you, 99% of it is not North Fort Bend projects, but we are out there, and we kind of timed it perfect so we could fly a little bit under the radar with our construction work. TxDOT and the county are doing a lot of work along 99, widening the main lanes, adding in some feeder roads and stuff. So there's a lot of activity out there. Our work, which is what we refer to as segment 11A, is along one of the bayous there, Willow Fork, as it comes, once it crosses 99 and is heading through Cinco Ranch. We installed a 36-inch line along the maintenance berm there, and then took a hard right and headed north up across Cinco Ranch Boulevard, and are tying into Cinco Mud 1's water plant that's there right behind Cinco Ranch Junior High. This is the first large diameter project we've done in a long time. You can see on the map here, it's a little hard to see, but right where the kind of the blue areas hit the gray, if you go a little bit north with your cursor and over to the right, that blue dashed line, or the light blue dashed line right there. Yeah. It's our first large diameter line that we've constructed in a number of years, extending our existing system to tie in a few more muds, most notably Cinco 1 and all of the Cinco muds that it serves. And so that'll be a big project. And the line is actually in. If you go by, there's not a whole lot of action going on. They've been done with the actual line installation for a couple months now. They wrapped up the tunnels under the roadways, and the focus right now is restoration. If you do see action out there, if you're driving along Westheimer or Cinco Ranch, you'll see them working on the trails and stuff out there, restoring the paths that were along the drainage channels, and then coming back with sod and seeding and whatever to restore the turf. Working on the meter station too at the water plant. So that's that project. It'll be followed by a number of other projects as we start to construct and build out our 2027 system. That's everything kind of on the northwest side of the map you're seeing now. It's all the dashed lines. And so we'll be adding quite a bit. It's about 30 miles more of water line to our existing 55 or so mile transmission system. It'll include the biggest line in our system, diameter wise, that is a 60-inch, which we refer to as segment 18A and 19. On this map, they're a little bit further north of the spot we were looking at before, kind of a dash green line. Yep, right in there, dash green and dash blue. And they'll snake their way up. They'll stay along the bayou until they hit Raisner Road, and then they'll go along Raisner for a little bit and then hit another bayou up in the Harris Fort Bend 1 and 3 area, and make their way up to a spot just south of I-10 and just west of 99, where West Harris County Regional Water Authority, our partner in the surface water supply project, is going to be building what we've been referring to as the I-10 meter station. And that'll be North Fort Bend's second feed of water coming from, ultimately coming from the Northeast water plant. Part of that surface water supply project is going to bring water there. And then there's another line that's going to run down to our existing Bel Air pump station, which currently receives water from City of Houston's East water plant. But with the completion of the surface water supply project, we'll get water from the Northeast plant that Ian talked about earlier. So lots to build. You'll definitely see a lot more construction activity here over the next, I'd say, 4 to 5 years. 18 and 19 are probably the next closest projects we have to going under construction, because we want to have those done and ready to go as soon as water comes to that I-10 meter station. We want to be able to take it. And so those projects plans are wrapping up. We're working on agency approvals, and then I'm hoping to get those advertised and bid here by the end of the year so we can get them under construction. But lots going on as we move further west. It gets out into kind of weaves its way through. I'm trying to, the name of the neighborhood's escaping me, but we only ultimately get out to Tamaron and Firethorn, come back down roughly along the Texas Heritage Parkway corridor. We'll actually be in a pipeline corridor, and then make our way down to Fulshire and Cross Creek Ranch. And that'll kind of complete the western loop of our system and what we've been referring to as the 2027 system to meet that conversion requirement that Whitney mentioned earlier. So lots going on. You'll start hearing more if you attend our meetings or take a look at the newsletters as they come out. A lot more stuff getting into design and going into construction here over the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Thank you, Matt. Very well said. Okay. And again, Matt, will you stick on? Because I know lots of directors always have questions about their specific MUDs and stuff after this. So thank you very much, fellow engineers. Moving on now. So why you are here, well, part of it, conservation. Just to give you a little background on the North Fort Bend Water Authority and why we love conservation and where we've been with it. So we were made in 2005. Our board, very much big on the mission, started public outreach right in 2006. From then they went into the schools with WaterWise programs and other presentations. If you've ever reserved our mobile learning lab, if you haven't, we encourage you to. Probably not until December of this year though, because we're pretty booked. Thanks everyone for booking it. We have that. And then 2011, we began the residential irrigation system evaluations, the Wise Guys program. Larry the Talking Sprinkler, that was our mascot who's undergone a revamp recently, which you'll all see in just a little bit. Came out just so we could help educate people on how much water we use outdoors. We wanted that to be our main method of teaching conservation. Try to teach the awareness of how much we use outdoors and how we can conserve a lot there. But in 2016, our board saw the need to incentivize our direct customers. You know, we've always done the outreach and education for the public and everything, but what about our GRP participants, our direct customers? And we wanted to somehow do something for the MUDs in the cities with the North Fort Bend. So that's when they decided to create the Larry's Water Conservation Toolbox. And that is why you are probably all, I don't think you're here just for fun, but if you are, I really appreciate it. And we should talk a lot more. But if you're here, it's probably because you're on a MUD district or a city water conservation committee through your district because you're part of this program. It used to be called Larry's Toolbox. It's now called the Water Provider Conservation Program because it confused a lot of people saying who's Larry, who's a toolbox. So we did a lot of changes there. So ultimately it is a program which we'll get into in a minute that if you're successful in it, the next through different initiatives, conservation initiatives, the next year you will start to receive a credit on your water usage. So we started that in 2016. From then on, reuse and the use reclaimed water, whether it be effluent water from a wastewater treatment plant, it could be rainwater harvesting, it could be flood water, it could be, we started our alternative water program. And we currently have 8 active districts that are MUD owned that are reporting reuse. And we have 2 districts that are, 2 systems that are owned by the North Fort Bend Water Authority. And from that's another conservation program, and there's a lot of them. From then on, we went on to Water My Yard, and hopefully you're all signed up for that. You're all eligible. That's where you can receive a text message once a week, and it's going to tell you if you input data on how many zones you have and sunlight and what kind of plants. It's going to tell you how much you need to water your yard every week. So if you want information on that, that is also on our website. And then they also started administering a residential rebate program, which a lot of you've all participated in also. So from then, just 2 years ago, we revamped the program Toolbox, and that's why you're all here today, because now we require there to be a conservation committee and also for y'all to attend one of these, so thank you. When we revamped it back 2 years ago, we did see that there was a need to increase board of directors, city council members' involvement. We saw that the operators in the districts were doing the majority of the work, and which is great, right? We're hired to do that, and the different consultants. But what we really saw, and why we asked you to be here, is there's all the directors. Y'all all have lives, right? This is not your 100% day-to-day thing. And we saw that in some districts, like there were some directors that didn't even know what subsidence was, didn't even know like why there was, and all of your residents have this fee, this line item on their bill that says NFBWA fee. So, and to help us disseminate information, it's sort of like we need y'all to understand, or it's our hope that you understand it also, so we can all spread the word to the whole community. Because there's a lot of people in this community. The more people that know, the better. So we try to get y'all involved more, hence the requirement of y'all coming to one of these. Of course, is to help, we change it to increase our water savings potential. And then the third one goes along with the first one because you all help us in doing community awareness. To be in this program that you're in, the core of it, there are 3 things that your district or your city must do. You must have your conservation committee. You must send out high water use notifications, and you must pass out conservation information throughout the year. You have to have 2 different outlets that you do it, and in just a minute, my friend Joy is going to show you all the stuff that we have available for y'all to use that we have made for you. So that was the core right there, those 3 things just to be in the conservation program. And that core, most of the districts were already doing it. So it's when we revamped it, there wasn't that many big changes besides the name, and that we took away points, and we sort of tried to make this to where you could take this program and make it your own. We weren't requiring you to do certain initiatives, except for those base 3 that you were already doing. But then we have the pick 3 after that, that you can pick from 3 different, like smaller, not small, they're still big, but 3 initiatives, or you can go for more of a big kahuna. You can go for a pick 1. So that's where you're getting into that outdoor water usage and common space irrigation, HOA water budgets, doing the smart meters, and advanced irrigation scheduling. I can go through this more with you in detail if you'd like. I don't want to take up your whole afternoon. But one thing I do want to make note on this is on the bottom, hopefully you see it says new, unique programming. Like I just said, we have information to give y'all and to, help educate y'all on different methods of doing these initiatives, but we want you to make this your own program. And so many of y'all have done that. And so if there is something that's not listed here in these initiatives that you want to do, you think is going to make a difference in your community and has a correlation to water savings and some kind of conservation, we encourage it. It's all about communication. Just talk to us, talk to me about what you're wanting to do. We'll figure out something because we don't want to dictate how you do this. But we're here to help you administer as needed, be of any kind of technical resource. But this is ultimately your program, and we just want to be here and be a support for you. So now I'm going to move on to that third part of our mission statement, and that is going to be our Water Providers Toolkit. So a second ago, I said that we have a lot of resources for you. And our consultant, Mighty Citizen, created so much stuff for y'all. And I don't like hearing myself speak that much, and I'm sure other people don't either. So I asked the expert Joi Bass, who's from Mighty Citizen, please to come in here and tell us about this toolkit. She does such a great job of it. So Joi, if you would, tell us about the Water Providers Toolkit and what it is.
Sure thing. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thanks for inviting me, Whitney. So I'm going to walk you guys through the toolkit as it exists, although I've sprinkled in a couple extra slides just to kind of show some examples of how we've used this toolkit in the world and some of the statistics that we've gathered since this toolkit hit the streets. So first I'll say, like Whitney talked about, this is for providers. So it's a communication toolkit that each section is designed to give you some guidance on how to use the assets within it. But if you ever have questions, the NFBWA's email address is right there, and you can always reach out for questions. One of the easiest things for anyone to do is put these on your website. So how to find the NFBWA, because I know a lot of your residents are asking you who is the NFBWA? Why is this on my bill? So the easiest step to do is to put those links to their social media and website, just to make sure that people can get to where they need to go. And you'll see, excuse me, within the toolkit, we've also listed some important website links that are really about specific topics. So if you want to know how to answer the question, what is subsidence, you'll see a link there in the toolkit, how to jump to that page about what is subsidence. If you want to tell a resident how to find water saving tips, that link is there, and you can give them that direct link to how to find water saving tips. So it's all within this toolkit for you. And Whitney just covered this, but there's also a link here on how to join the water conservation program, and it links you out to the page that talks about the core 3 and what you need to do to get involved in that program. This is all within one big toolkit. But now I'm going to jump into some of the stuff that's a little bit more resident facing. And the first section we have here is website copy. So the reason that we provided website copy is because we wanted to help you guys cut down on the questions that you're getting from residents, right? So we think the best thing to do for the website is to answer the questions that your audience asks most frequently, like, what is this fee on my water bill? You know, how do I pay my bill? How do I set up servers? All those questions that people ask you in general, you should always have on your website, because it'll cut down on the number of questions that you're receiving. And this next slide will show you a little bit about how that works. So this is a little snapshot from the NFBWA. When we started adding copy answering some of the frequently asked questions, you can see there that the number of new users to their website is going up, 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 because now people are able to get the information they need from the website instead of calling or sending emails. So in this little snapshot, 102,000 people were searching for questions about the NFBWA, and 5,000, almost 5,000, clicked on the links that were provided through the search. So that's 5,000 people who now are not going to call you or email you because they already have the answers to their question. And so the website copy becomes a really important part of your communication strategy, because you can just take the question that you get over and over and over again and answer them there, and that will sort of relieve the tension from your staff from having to answer them. And we've provided some guidelines here for how to use the website copy. We've written 2 versions of copy that you can just copy and paste and put on your website about the NFBWA. So that's a long form version if you want to give them the full story and the background and what they do, or just a short version about the mission. It's really up to you which one you think that would be more resonant for your audiences. But this is a great way to sort of cut off that question that you get a lot when people are getting those bills about who is giving me this fee, what is it from? And you notice that both versions of this link out to the NFBWA's website. So you're routing them to the NFBWA so that they aren't contacting you. The next section of this lovely toolkit is about digital content. So the way we recommend you using social media is to help your residents understand more about what you do and why. And we've included some things here to help them understand the NFBWA. So you see the little statistic there. The average person spends almost 2.5 hours every single day on social media. So it's a great communications tool to get people where they already are. It's 14% of their waking hours are online looking at social media. You might as well use those channels to get out the information that you need people to know. And social media can also help you build goodwill with your audience. So you see here an example of a quote that was made on the NFBWA's social media site about how much they love hearing about native plants, how to reduce water use. So we're starting to see an uptick in positive comments because we're using social media as a tool to educate folks and to kind of rope them into the conservation conversation with things that are relevant to them, like lawn care and how to lower their water bills each month. So when you open up your toolkit, you'll see guidelines for social media as well. There's a link here to download some sample graphics, but I'll show you some examples as well. So here's an example image that you could post, and the copy's already there. It talks about how the NFBWA partners with you all to bring clean drinking water to the community. There's a link there to the NFBWA's website, and there's also a hashtag there so that when people want to look for more information about the NFBWA, all that information is there. Another example that you'll find in the toolkit is our lovely Whitney here, talking about the mission of provide, conserve, and educate. So these are really great images for kind of humanizing the NFBWA, because people don't know a lot about it. Like, Whitney said earlier, there's a line item on their bill. That's all they heard. So this is kind of putting a face to it and giving a little bit further explanation about how this resource affects their water bill. And again, this is all copy and paste. So it's not even really adding to whoever handles the social media for your mud or your water utility. They can just copy and paste this. And infrastructure is a big deal. As you can see, there's a lot of projects going on. We've already seen the great drone footage, and we've heard from engineers and water operators. So here's a little bit of content about what those projects are and how they'll help the community. And you can copy and paste these as well. And it links out to the page on the NFBWA site where they update about the projects. So as new things are happening and new projects are added, that page keeps growing with more up-to-date information. So feel free to send your residents there. And then Wise Guys, which is a pretty popular program. We've seen lots of positive comments on social media about how much people love having these sprinkler system evaluations annually. So this is something that you probably would like to share with your audiences, especially the ones who are on social media. We have other ways to share it a little bit later in this toolkit. But as you can see there, they link out to the sign up page for people who want to sign up. And the same thing here for Water My Yard. So helping folks understand how much water to use. We know that most people overwater and then are upset at the end of the month with their water bills. And so Water My Yard is a great way to take the guesswork out of that water maintenance schedule. And, we recommend using this content, and it sends them right to the Water My Yard page on the NFBWA site. Now, you may be thinking lots of folks in your area may not use social media daily. And so for those who are literally just opening their bills and getting that, that first impression of the NFBWA, we've also created some bill inserts for you all. And so you can download those electronic bill inserts right here through this link. And again, any questions, or if you wanted to order physical inserts, you can reach out directly to the NFBWA through that email address, and they can share these with you. So here's some examples. Here's one about the rebate program. And the copy there is get paid to upgrade, right? That's what people are worried about. What's their pocketbook and, the money that's coming out of their account. So this is a great way to just get straight to the point and help them understand how this program benefits them. Next, we have another bill insert about Wise Guys. And you can obviously use this to promote that program. So, it's a multifaceted approach. You have the website, you have social media, and you also have bill inserts. So kind of hitting people from different perspectives. There's a sort of marketing statistics say that people need to hear things 6 or 7 times before they stick. So if you think about it that way, it's not overkill to update your site and send it out on social and put it in the bills, because people are, it takes a while for it to really stick in their brains. And then the last section here is about public outreach, which Whitney talked a little bit about already, as far as like ordering the mobile learning lab. But there's also talking points in here, because we know you guys get a lot of questions every day. Like, you're on the front lines, you're seeing people face to face. You may be unsure about what to say to certain questions. So there's talking points here that are listed by the most frequently asked questions that we were hearing from you directly. And then we worked with the NFBWA to craft really straightforward and short answers to those questions, so that you don't feel like you're being put on the spot. You have the answers at your fingertips. And then here's the learning lab again. So make sure you request that. That one's been very popular all summer long, as Whitney talked about. And then lastly, there's a contact us page. And so that's like, there's some question that you've never heard before, or something that feels more rare than the typical questions we get. You can send them directly to the NFBWA's contact page, and that is a link right there for that. And we have some new additions that hot off the presses, the HOA program, which I'm sure Whitney can talk a little bit more about, but there's a link here to get out to that program and learn more about it. This is a program that will create a water use analysis report for HOAs and community associations upon request, to make sure that they have sort of an accurate comparison of water volume and costs to operate their irrigation systems. So really, I think fundamental to helping the HOAs understand how to work hand in hand with water providers to make sure that the conservation efforts are taking root all across the different developments. And then we have this water bill one pager. So one of the things we were hearing is that people were opening their bills and they've never heard of the NFBWA before. This one pager kind of goes through a typical bill and explains what they're seeing, what the water usage is, what the cost is to bring it to their home, what the fee provides, and how it's kind of broken up between infrastructure projects and water treatment and all those different things. So all the questions that you get when people are like, well, where is this money going? It's answered in this one pager. So now you'll have access to that as well. It's on our fee page, but it also will be added to the provider toolkit. And then lastly, we're really excited about Kids Corner. So we know that if you can teach kids from the very beginning how not to waste water, how to keep those water bills low, those are habits that will stick with them for a lifetime. And so we've added some things like coloring pages and stickers, just to really engage those younger audiences and help families get everybody involved in keeping those water bills low. Thank you for having me. That's our toolkit. So the link will be shared with you all. You can feel free to click through, download anything that seemed useful to you, and reach out to Whitney with any questions.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much. You became my best friend. Well, you already were, of course, but you became my best friend when you said a positive compliment that you read online about the NFBWA. That is a rare but amazing event. So thank you, and really appreciate all that y'all helped us create for our directors and community. Thank you, and hi everyone. And if you would like to turn on your cameras, you can, but you also don't have to, because we kept this at 40 something minutes. So this is the time. I know, I see you, Christina. This is the time where you can ask questions. So remember, we have Ian on the line about Northeast. We got Matt right there about the internal or anything, mostly always anything I can't answer. There's Christina Miller with ABHR, loves answering legal questions. And Miriam can talk anything, again, that I can't. We're here. So if y'all have any questions, we're happy to talk to you. Or also, y'all know how to contact us. Not all at once, though.
Looks like Randy might be talking.
I think so
Maybe.
too. Randy, are you trying to talk to us? Not yet. We might use, okay. If you wanted to type it, you could type it in the chat.
Yeah, that's a good call.
You want to do that? Okay. Any others? Well, Randy types in all those questions he has. Hey, Chester,
Yes.
our Water Force member.
I
Howdy, sir.
have several questions. Desaltation, is there anywhere in the future you see Norfolk Water Authority getting into that area of the business, getting water from the Gulf?
Probably not North Fort Bend. I know some of the other water authorities around the region are looking into that. Some of them already do a little bit of that. I know Gulf Coast Water Authority is taking a look at it. They cover Galveston, Texas City, a lot of the industrial stuff and cities on the southeast side. Brazos Port Water Authority is already doing a little bit of that, and is actually working with a company, I think out of Israel, that is going to be building a larger plant and using it for that. So North Fort Bend's pretty much not pretty much, we are taking care of as far as our water needs through the expansion of the Northeast plant. And so I think we're good there, but you will start to definitely hear about it more. I know we're in the early stages of looking at potential sources for what will be West Fort Bend Water Authority. And desal is not on our own, but that project I mentioned down in Brazos Port is one we're keeping an eye on. I will say too that Corpus Christi is headed in that direction. A longtime employee up here at City of Houston relocated down there a couple years ago and is heading up their water operations group, and is in the early stages of getting design going on a desalination project down there. So you'll definitely hear more about it. It's just a matter of finding the the right water at the right price, but we're starting to run out of the inexpensive stuff, so we're having to go other places. But great question.
I don't want to hog the time. Another question. This for, I guess, for Wendy. You have all the MUDs, and then you have North Fort Bend Water Authority. And there needs to be more integration in those two organizations. Have you guys considered putting together maybe, and you may already have it, I may just not even know it, some regional teams where on a quarterly basis, MERS and Fort Bend Water Authority get together to talk about conservation and talk about alternative methods of moving towards conservation and reducing usage.
I thought Matt was answering that. Yeah, so not as much. We do talk a lot just internally, but not with a bunch of directors together about conservation. But we have meetings throughout the months with all the different regional entities, usually focusing more on design and providing and stuff. Not so much. We're always looking for partnerships, though, wanting to do stuff. There is that big Gulf Coast water conservation efficiency network that we're a part of, and that is where we do, along with AWBD, work with other entities around here that are interested. But if you know of other people who are more interested in conservation, please let me know. I mean, because we want to toot that horn everywhere and do as much as we can with other entities. So always willing to hear any ideas you have on that.
Because I'm always concerned about sustainability.
Yes.
And so to get to sustainability, you need to have certain kinds of structures in place. And I think there's some gaps in some of those things. And so I give you a call.
All right. No, thank you, Chester. I always appreciate the thoughtfulness and where you come from with that thought too. Thank you.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Hello.
Hi, I'm Randy Connor. I'm from Fulshire.
Hey,
I was listening what the scheduling and the planned scheduling was on the distribution systems. You stopped at Cross Creek Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
What's the schedule all the way to the, I guess, Old Town Fulshire area, which is what, the end of the line, basically?
Yeah, it's that'll probably be the furthest west we run.
Right.
There is a line, if you noticed on that map, that stubs out and goes to water plant. The original water plant there in Fulshire. Right. And I know we've been working closely with them, with the Public Works Department and with the engineer they're working with, because I know they have plans for additional water plant facilities out there. And so we're going to be needing to figure out routes to those, but we're working through some right of entry issues on one of the projects that'll meander us over this way. And so, I'd say the earliest would be in 2026. But if we can get over there sooner, we'd like to. But that's probably what it's looking like now.
Okay, kind of as a follow up to that, we're currently right now where I live here in Fulshire, putting in a new water plant.
Mm-hmm.
After we start receiving water from the pipeline system, will the need for any new water plants basically go away to plant for additional growth, or will that supply our future needs?
Yeah, I would defer to the city of Fulshire and their engineer, but my best guess, just looking from the bird's eye, is you'll still need those water plants to be able to pump the water out into your distribution system. You may not need to add additional supply like new wells, because you'll be, at some point you'll be receiving surface water, but you'll need the facilities to repressurize and push out into your system to all the homes and businesses.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
thank you, Randy. Does anybody else have any questions? Hey, Hannah.
Hi, I had a quick question. I have a couple MUDs interested in forming committees. Does it matter who's on those committees? Like, do they need to be residents of the MUDs, or can they be, directors or appointed as directors or?
Yeah, and I think I was supposed to, I need to get in touch with you about those 2 districts. I received an email.
Yes.
182 and 188. So the way it works on the Conservation Committee, it's 2 MUD directors that are already on the board of directors for that MUD, but then you have to have a community liaison, because ultimately that was made because most MUDs don't have like a Facebook page, or a lot of them don't have websites. And one of the best ways we know of disseminating information is through via social, right? That's where most people get their buzz. So having like an HOA community liaison, or in some of our cases, it can be a director's wife or husband, just someone who isn't tied to the governmental, role of on the board, I'm representing the board, but could be like, hey, here's information with the community. And if the districts that are wanting to join aren't formally made, like if we're always happy to talk and figure something out. If your districts are interested in conservation, we want to help you all figure it out. So just, y'all know that we try not to have limitations on anything. The whole point is conservation. And so, just reach out or I can reach back out to the email I received, and we can figure it out for this next year.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. One thing before we do hang up is I want to let y'all know about our board meetings, because I do see a lot of you who do come. We have been holding them this past year at the Falcon Point Country Club. Those are going to be moving to inside Fort Bend Mud 142 at Hub 510, so it's going to be closer for some of you. Those are going to start taking place in October. So for September, we're still going to have our board meeting, the regular board of directors meeting on that fourth Tuesday of the month at the Falcon, I can never say it right, I apologize, Falcon Point Country Club. But then in October, it'll be moving to Hub 510 and Mud 142. And that's also going to revert back to what it used to be, which was the fourth Wednesdays of the month. So I believe you're all signed up for our water provider newsletter and our Connect the Drops monthly newsletter for residents. But if you're not, please make sure you sign up for those on our website. But just letting y'all know, we've worked really hard this past year on getting our board meetings back out into the authority, and now we're trying new venues to see what suits all of y'all best. So we'll be out there. I will do one last call for questions. And if there are none, y'all know how to find us, hopefully. Glad you found us this way, and really appreciate you all coming today. And Christina, did I miss anything? Always have to check with the boss. Okay. All right. Thank y'all so much. Hope y'all have a great rest of your Thursday and a great Liberty weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.